All right, welcome. This is a Collaborate session, which is basically just here to explain how to use the Hawks website as a student. There's not a ton here, but we're just going to take a look at it and, we'll kind of go from there. So the way to get into Hawks, the main way that you can do that is to go over here to Blackboard, and you'll see here it says Hawks Learning. And so if you click on that, it'll take you right here, and it's going to log into your dashboard at Hawks. And you'll see the class that you have here. Right now this is pre-calculus, so this is the class that I'm in. I'm the one teaching this one. You might have a different instructor than me. And you'll kind of see the setup here for your class. So technically, I am a student in my own class, just kind of as a test run. This class has been running for a few weeks now. So you'll see that we have a couple of lessons coming up here in the midterm exam as well. They're coming up, and then you'll see that if you have anything overdue, it'll say it right here. And you can click on any of these to go straight to that. But right now, we're just going to log into the course itself. So you can click pre-calculus, or you can click view course. And so I'm just going to click on pre-calculus. And this is the stuff for my pre-calculus course right here, the to-do list, which has several different lessons on it. Once again, there's a whole bunch overdue. And a couple that are due coming up, including the midterm, and each of these, 5-4, 5-5, all these are lessons. So you can click on any of the lessons. So let's just click on one that's overdue, relations and functions. So this is one of the first ones you'll probably see in your class here. And you'll notice here in the Hawks lesson, it has 3 different parts to it. There's learn, there's practice, and there's certify. So learn is just access to the ebook. So you would click on start, and it shows you the section that we are working on here, 3.1, relations and functions. There are 5 different subsections to this area here. Each one of these is a specific topic or objective. Function notation, function evaluation, vertical line test, implied domain of function, relations domain range, difference quotient. And so that tells you all the objectives in this section. There's also a little video here that you can click on if you want to watch that. And you can click on pages to kind of skip ahead to each part in the section here. So each of the 5 topics has a little explanation part and then an example or two. So functions of the vertical line test. So we'll skip to that one here. And this tells us what a function is, and the definition and everything. And when you click next over here, it takes you to an example of how all of that works. And then the next part here tells us about the vertical line test. And and then we have another example. So you're basically just clicking through the ebook, and you can get out of here pretty much any time just by clicking end learn. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then here is practice, where it says pre-certify, or you can choose the level at which you want to practice. So you can choose high-level problems, medium-level problems, low-level problems, or progressive, where you start with low and it works its way up. Or just a pre-certify, which just means it's the recommended thing. It's what prepares you most to do the certification. So we click on that, and it's just going to give you problems, and you just solve them. So we have a problem up here. G of x equals 4x squared plus 3x. It says determine g of x plus a minus g of x for the following function. So you would have to solve this problem based on what it's asking you to do. And notice how up here it says question 1 of 14, step 1 of 1. So each question has a certain number of steps. This taskbar up here tells us how many total steps you're going to encounter, which is the total number of overall problems that you have. Each question, in this case, question 1 only has 1 step, but some of them have 2 or 3 steps involved. So even though we have 14 questions, we have 22 overall steps. And then it tells us how many incorrect we got and everything like that. If you need access to a calculator or keypad, that's what keypad over here tells us. And so you can see how the keypad looks. So if you need an exponent or a subscript over here, we've got the radical that you can use for square roots and higher level functions that way. Higher level roots, I mean. The fraction, prime, different forms of parentheses and bracket and braces, absolute value, all those kinds of things. Your basic operators, and inequalities, logarithms, different kinds of sets down here, and other symbols that we can use, and then the trig functions are all down here. And so this pretty much gives you everything that you need in this, and you can minimize it or maximize it or make it go away. So that's basically how that all works. Down here you'll see these buttons. You can skip a question, you can try a similar question. If you don't like this one, it'll change some of the values. So if I click on try similar, it's just going to reload the question. It's going to give me pretty much the same thing with different values. And that's how it works. So you can submit your answer, or you can skip, and it moves on to the next problem. The only issue is I don't think there's a way you can go back. If you choose to skip a problem, it just counts it as incorrect in practice, and that's it. So there you have it. I'm going to end practice. It says save and end practice. Would you like to save this practice session and resume later? So I'm going to exit without saving. So, that's fine. And so now I'm going to go over here to certify. Now this is the part where you actually get a grade for the lesson. So when you go in here, certify is just like practice. It's going to give you a series of problems that you go through and you try to submit, and you want a mastery level of 82% for this particular lesson. So as you're progressing through, if you miss enough problems where you're guaranteed to not reach that 82%, then certify will stop automatically and you'll be sent back to this page. And then you could try again, and after several attempts, if you fail to certify, it's going to make you practice more before you get another chance to try again. So just kind of keep that in mind. So if I click start on certify, so kind of the way to read this is, there are, once again, 14 questions and 22 steps. We have 4 hearts. You can kind of think of like this as lives in a video game or something, where you can miss 4 questions. The minute you miss that 5th question, and by question I mean step, you miss 5 out of 22, then automatically it's done, because you're not going to reach that 82% mastery that you need for this particular lesson. So then it'll kind of stop, and that'll be the end of it. So that's pretty much how it works. Save and end certify. You pretty much keep going either till you reach the end, or you lose all your lives essentially. And that's how it works. Now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to put an incorrect answer in here and show you what happens. So domain I'm just going to say is 3. The range I'm also going to say is 3. That's clearly incorrect. And so I'm going to hit submit. And so, first it's telling me it's an improper form. You have one more opportunity to try again. So the domain, I'm going to try and put in interval notation. So I'm going to say this is going to be 0 to 3. And the range I'm also going to say is going to be from 0 to 3. And we're going to submit. That's going to be wrong. Your answer is incorrect. You have 1 attempt remaining for this question, so we can, once you do that, you can either try a similar question to try and get it right, or you can accept your strike and then you lose a life and you move on. So if I try a similar question, it pretty much gives me the same kind of question, but obviously the graph has changed. So we would have to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to input the correct answer now for the domain and range. The domain for a parabola is all real numbers, so the way I'm going to do that is put in parentheses, and I'm going to, for all real numbers, you would put minus and then infinity, and then we go to infinity. That's basically what the domain is, it ranges from negative infinity to positive infinity. It captures every possible value that exists. The range, notice how the graph peaks at y equals 3. So the range is going to be, it's going to be this situation where we have parentheses bracket. The bracket on the right tells us that the endpoint is part of it. You'll learn more about this as you actually go through. But I'm just going to input the correct answer, which is negative infinity to positive 3 for the range. And I'm going to submit, and it tells me that I got an answer correct. It says that's great, and I hit OK, and I keep going. And, there you go. So now this is a two-part question. And so determine if the relation is a function. If it does not, identify two ordered pairs as proof. A parabola that opens up or down is in fact a function. It passes the vertical line test. I'm going to click yes, and then submit my answer. And clearly that's done, and so I hit OK, and it moves on to the next one. And you'll see it continues to do that. So I'm going through the certification. I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you get the idea of how that works. I'm going to save and then certify. And I can, once again, you have 3 saves remaining. Would you like to save this and resume later? I can save and exit. I can exit without saving, or I can cancel. I'm going to exit without saving because it doesn't really matter to me. But that's basically the deal there. So that is how the lessons work. So let's go back and to the main part of the question. Notice how we have these tabs here. I clicked on a lesson. You can go to specific lessons throughout that are coming up. We have things that are due tomorrow. We have a couple things that are already done, and obviously you see I have a whole bunch of overdue things because I'm not really participating in my own class. My other students are, and that's been good. The web tests is the third tab. And so you'll see that so far in this class, we've had 2 quizzes, and we have the midterm coming up. These are the web tests. And so I should probably fix this. The midterm shouldn't be available yet, but it says it's there. If I click this, it says it's due in 4/6. Yeah, this assignment's not available yet. It starts at 12:30 on Friday, so we can't really do this yet, but we know that it's coming. So that's the midterm there itself. So I'm going to click on an old quiz, and you'll be able to see that I can go in here and I can start this quiz. And even though it's overdue, I can still start it, and there's an automatic deduction based on how late it is. Then we can click. We have web tests here. You can also click on practice web tests. And this is an important thing here because you as a student have the ability to create your own web tests for practice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And I have the entire ebook at my disposal. So since we've been working in Chapter 3, Relations, Functions, and Their Graphs, since we were talking about relations and functions, let's say I want to add some questions from that section here. So I'm going to go ahead and add, and it says practice web test contest. Lessons include on the test 3.1 functions, and I want 10 questions to work with from that section. I can choose to time myself, or I can leave that blank. I can name this, functions practice or something like that, and and then I click start, and it's going to give me it's going to make me set the time. I'm going to click not timed, and it gives me a chance to start this, and then I can actually go in here and answer the questions. Just like in practice, just like in Certify, the test questions look exactly the same. The only difference is you are technically in a test. This is a practice test. It doesn't count for anything. But the nice thing about it is I was able to build it myself as a student. So this means you as a student get to build it yourself. So it's a nice little feature that we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I think the really only way to end a practice test is to get out. On whether you're doing a practice test or a real test, you can jump around and you can click hide answered if you already answered some questions. Obviously, I didn't answer any, but if I want to go to 5B right now, I can do it. It's pretty straightforward, or I can click through each question like this as I need to, previous and next. Pretty much how all that works. So I'm going to go ahead and submit because with the practice, no, it really doesn't matter. It's just a practice. And you can see my results here. I attempted one. I didn't get any correct because I didn't really try anything. This is just a demo. It only took 2 minutes to decide to quit, and I didn't do anything there. But you'll be able to read this hopefully as well. So let's go back to the course. So those are the main two features, the lessons and the web tests. But let's look at a couple other things that we can do here. And notice how my web test functions practice stayed here. So I can come back and try it again if I want to. Up here in the dashboard, that'll take me back to all my courses. I also have my grades here, and you can see that since I have so many things that are late in my own class, I'm only getting 4% out of 60. Percent, 4 out of 60, which is 6.67%. Not that great of a performance by me in my own class so far, but that's okay. Let's look over here. We can see all these things here. Here's one of the lessons I did as a test to complete. And if I want to look at the grade details, it just tells me what day I completed it and how that works there. So I don't have any completed tests or anything, so the details there aren't going to show me anything. But you can basically see how that does there. We can see the grade scale that's set, pretty much traditional stuff here. I can also flip between several different courses, based on what I'm in. I can export this stuff to an Excel or other kinds of documents. I can print it if I want to. If I go to ebooks, this will give me access to the ebooks that I have in my classes. The pre-calculus ebook is the one relevant for this particular class, but there are others based on what class that we actually are in. And discussions, we can have a live chat or discussion board with Hawks personnel about something, or if there's a discussion board going on in our own class, which probably not going to happen, but that's something that you can access here. These are notifications that tell us what's overdue and things that are coming up. You have a little message center here where you can view messages related to a particular class. Hawks has been sending me, I've been sending myself essentially a lot of reminders that I need to get things done in my class. Those are automatic. So if things are coming up, you'll receive those, and I think they go straight to your email as well. And then my name here has a menu here. I have settings. I can get help. I can get live tutoring from Hawks itself. Live support if you're having technical difficulties with the site. Some training videos for the site as well. I can give feedback to win prizes. That's a nice little feature. So if you want to win some stuff from Hawks, that's a good way to try and do it. And of course, I can get myself out of there by signing out. So all of those are your options for Hawks, and that's pretty much how it works. I think I covered everything, and if not, just let your instructor know about what's missing, and we'll try to take care of it and make sure that you're good to go. So that's about it. I hope this went well, and you have a good idea of how to operate your course in Hawks. Okay, we'll catch you later.